episode of the Alumni series. Our presenter today is Anna Mina. She is a former president of our club, and she graduated in China in
Oh,
2015.
2015. Yeah.
She is the owner of Mina's Medium, and she is a GCC assistant instructor. So, all right, Anna, if you want to start.
All right. Hafade and good morning, everyone. Welcome to, again, the Alumni series. And I will be basically telling you about my experience in the tech field, right? All right. So a little about me is, yes, I graduated in fall of 2015. I love learning, creating, playing video games, and I am currently getting back into photography and videography. So here you'll see, can you guys see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so here you see a faceless portrait, which is something I'm trying to incorporate into my business, which is Mina's Mediums, which the logo is right here. And here you see a photo of my fellow graduates from 2015. If you were here in the last series, Victor, Victor was the one that presented, right? Okay, so next. So certifications. So there are a few certifications, and I started receiving or getting my certifications 2 years ago. So a few years after I graduated. But if I can input, if you are wanting to get into the tech field, I suggest that you start getting your certifications as soon as possible. So here we see some Cisco IT Essentials, Cisco CCNA routing and switching, which is a networking one, right? And here we see the Microsoft MIE Trainer Academy. So, so there's also these badges here on the right side. And these are just basic badges that you can get as soon as you complete each course. So here we see Flipgrid, we see the Windows 10 integration, the MIE, and Sway, Teams, and OneNote. So those are all from Microsoft, and Microsoft has this really fun way of learning. So when you have, or when you want to complete a certain course, it tells you the requirements. It also gives you point systems to kind of encourage you to learn in a more gaming type of situation. So let's talk a little bit about my career path. So right before I graduated, I did have a job in the tech field, which is SAPI, Strategic Asia Pacific Partners, Inc. There I was junior system support. Oh, sorry. SAPI was a system integrator. They had a few clients both here on Guam and in Philippines. So again, I was a junior system support, which means that I was learning on the job. I wasn't really too familiar with certain aspects of what they were doing. And I was thankful that my colleagues or my coworkers were able to teach me what they know, and my supervisor was able to encourage me to keep on learning, and that, you know, it does take time to learn certain things. At this time at SAPI, I didn't have any certification whatsoever, and they basically saw it as a clean slate to teach me all of the best practices, especially when it came to migration and making sure that things are managed correctly. This was a big company both in Asia, and they basically started with a small group here on Guam. And with a small team here on Guam, the holidays was very stressful. So if you are already in the IT field, you know that when everyone else is on vacation and you're the only one there as support, it can get pretty stressful, especially when something goes wrong, right? So I was at SAPI from 2015 to 2017. Moving into 2017, I went from SAPI into teaching, and that was a different experience altogether, right? So St. Anthony Catholic School is an elementary middle school, and there I was an elective teacher, a computer teacher, and I mostly taught Microsoft Office, the basics of computers, and the internet, right? So I helped them understand the basics of computer from physical to tangible software. I also started a computer club in late 2017. I came up with the idea of starting the computer club, and by 2018 or by end of 2017, we created the computer club where we mostly talked about 3D printing. I accepted students from the elementary level all the way to the middle school level, and we talked about certain aspects of the internet, the safeties that and dangers that they may encounter. But I tried to mostly focus on 3D printing because it was something new and I had a 3D printer. So it was something, something that the students can see from what they created to something tangible, right? So by 2019, I was able to help out Art Beats in their first ever coding and robotics summer program. There we use CodeHS that was basically HTML and CSS, creating a website. As far as the robotics program, we use Vex Robotics, which is different from what you see in the Lego Robotics here on Guam. I think it's called First Lego Robotics. Yeah, and we accepted students from as young as second grade all the way to freshmen of high school. And if they were to continue in the program, say it's their second time in the program within that summer, we would further teach them Python. So moving on into fall of 2019, I went into GCC, and here or at GCC, I taught both at the high school level and the college level. So in the high school level, I would teach the satellite program, which consists of electronics, IT essentials, and CCNA 1, which is networking 1, right? Soon, we hope to incorporate the security, but for now, it's just the networking portion. There is also an after-school program called the Early Middle College, or EMC for short. And that one is mostly incorporating office technology, right? So something as simple as Microsoft Office, as well as the Internet of Things, right? So at the college level, so far I've only taught office technology, which is Microsoft Office. And I've had students in the adult high school, I believe is what it's called. And there I basically teach them Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, and all of Microsoft. Okay, so moving on to Nina's Mediums. So this is a small business, and it was started in 2016, where, and I created this small business because I wanted to share the wonders of creating. Again, I love to create things, and Some of the things that I wanted to incorporate in this small business was stationery, crafts, and soon laser. Laser as in laser cutting and laser printing, right? And this year, I participated in the PPE for Guam. So if you remember early this year where there was a shortage for masks, I used my 3D printer to help print out those face shields, and just insert the plastic, and it's reusable, right? There is my contact information down here. I do have an Instagram, a website, as well as an email. So yeah, contact, right? So to kind of tie in both my career and my small business, again, I started Mina's Mediums in 2016. So it was right between Sapi and St. Anthony. So back then, I started selling small items from pens, markers, and refills for those pens, right? Just to friends and family. But I kept at it, and I kept at it with or through Instagram pop-ups, holiday bazaars, and meetups, right? And now I'm starting to sell planners, journals, craft tools, and organizers, and a lot of other items, right? And sorry. And that's basically it. So one thing that I do want to end with as far as my presentation is that the learning really just never stops, especially when you're here in the technology field. You'll never stop learning something new, right? So especially if you're trying to apply for a job where you don't meet qualifications, just apply. You never know, you might get the job, and the job might pay for your education to better yourself. So accept the challenge and believe in yourself, because you got this. And that's basically my whole presentation. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Anna. Um, if you guys have any questions this time, you guys can go ahead and just ask. If not, then I know some of us have, some of the officers have some questions. Okay, I guess I'll be the first one to ask. Um, would you say that your classes helped you? Like any of the classes that you took from before you graduated for your.
Yes, actually. So like with the art beat program, right? So coding was a big thing for that program. And I believe there were what is it called? Learning data structures, right? Helped me understand that once you learn Java, which was the main coding language at UOG at my time, once you learn that, it's easy to understand the structure for another object-oriented program language, right? Of course, you just need different syntax and commands. But as far as networking, that one actually helps you understand like what is it called? It helps you understand like the whole architecture, right? I'm not too sure if you guys have the same education, because this was far back, 5 years ago, right? So yeah, I know that now there's, especially for the incoming students, there's the integration with GCC and UOG, the 2+2, I think is what it's called. And basically, if you incorporate your knowledge from GCC and UOG, it's a better mesh of knowledge, I guess.
So you'd say it's better for how they're doing it now, as opposed to because I know just last year or the year before they stopped the incoming for CIS and CS, so they're just integrating it with GCC. I know that. Do you think that's better for them then or now or before, like with the classes?
Well, I like it now just because it's more hands-on rather than just coding. So with the GCC, I know you're able to actually terminate cord, you're actually physically creating pathways and connecting devices with each other. So it's not just coding.
Makes sense because I'm in the CIS program, and that's actually I, other than
Yeah, so,
coding what you just said, I didn't understand.
oh, yeah. Yeah, so I know with during my time at UOG, it was mostly based on coding. And we did have advanced topics, and the time that I went, it was about security. So it was more on the coding side again. So it wasn't really I didn't have the networking where I know some of my peers had the project where they had to, I believe, create like a hearing aid or something like that. And that one's more interesting. But again, it's really to each his own, right? Because you might be interested in security, you might be interested in networking, or you might just be interested in electronics, which is a different thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because like taking classes for me personally, uh, I don't like the coding, to be honest. It's not my thing. I'm more of a hardware kind of guy, and
Yeah, so from what I know, now working with GCC, we're more on the hands-on, and UOG is more on the, I guess, theory and software base.
um,
Oh, can I ask a question?
Yes,
yeah,
you
go ahead.
may.
Okay. Hi Anna. So
Hello.
can you talk more about your first year teaching? Just because I heard that that's the hard year. So like,
That's
was it hard for you?
well, in college, I was always in the tutoring room. I wasn't a tutor. I was just always there, I guess, hanging out with my friends and my fellow classmates, right? So I guess I got tips from how they tutored their students or their, I guess, clients. I don't know what you call them, but yeah. So I got some exposure to that, and how in my first job, right, with SAPI, they would always teach me. So I kind of learned how to be taught as well as how to teach. So I took some, and you know how we're, as students, we're always exposed to different types of teachers. And basically, I chose my favorite teachers, how they taught, and basically incorporated it into my lessons. So, yeah, it's only really hard if you're not prepared.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Uh, do you think being in the club helps you with any of your current endeavors? And if yes, how so?
Oh, so being in the club, it helps you network. So maybe you're all just starting off right now, but it also helps you develop those kinds of relationships where maybe you're not close anymore, right? Compared to when you were in the club, but maybe you'll have, and this is what I've done with my peers, right, and my friends. I've sent out job notifications. So maybe I'm not qualified, but I know a friend who is. So I'll send them that job listing. So again, it never hurts to send an application, even if you're not qualified. But at the same time, if you want to help your friends out and them help you out in return, you want to try to, I guess, send them the job listing and hope for the best, because there are a lot of openings, right? But at the same time, if the company can't find someone on island, they might just outsource. So it doesn't hurt to try, you know?
Mm, understandable. I mean, like Victor's very helpful in that aspect because he personally said that like if anyone's interested in IT, he said to let him know, and then so I guess like that, seeing that you guys all have this network and the club connecting it, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically, in my opinion, that's what a club should be. It's more about creating these, I guess, relations, or these networks, so that in the event that you have a classmate or even someone in the club that you know of that is creating a game, and he or she is looking for someone to be the graphic designer or to help in a certain way, then you can just say, hey, EMC squared, I'm looking for so and so. I need them to be able to do a certain thing. And I know when I was in college, I did have a classmate that was creating his own app, and he did reach out to me and a fellow few that were interested in helping him create this app. So I guess the club can also be a source of what is it called? Where you can find someone who's willing to learn and try out new things, right? Especially if they're skilled in that thing you're looking for.
Does anyone have any other questions? Um, do you have a way that people can contact you if they are a little shy to ask questions, or we have anyone else who like later on asks for something?
Yeah, well, you can email me, or if Instagram is your thing, you can Instagram me through my business email. I do also have my work email, which is, I guess I'll put it on the chat. Hold on, let me type it out. So there's that one, and then there's also what is it called? So I guess I forgot to mention that I taught both in the private sector and the public sector, which is two different. Yeah. So with St. Anthony, that was all private. Of course, you have the students that their parents are paying for their education. And with the Guam Community College, I taught at public schools. So I taught from Ukudu, Tidzin, and Southern. And that's a whole different story than a private school.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Abby, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Just in your opinion, did you prefer one over the other?
Well, in my case, I think it's a special case just because St. Anthony was my alma mater. and teaching. So I grew up with an all private school most of my life until college, right? Um, and when I first started at Ukuru with GCC, I was fortunate enough to have a batch where they were all willing to learn. Um, so I think my case is special. So Abby, if you're interested in teaching, right, you'll have those students both in the private and the public that are reluctant to learn, but you'll also have those students that really want to know what you have to offer and are willing to go beyond your expectations. So it really, I guess, is in the different generations, how well you can relate to them and how well how firm you are as a teacher. Because I also taught elementary, middle school, high school, and college level, my favorite is just students in general who would love to learn. It's not one specific grade level for me.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
Okay. Uh, so if no one has any other questions, thank you, Anna, for this presentation. Mediums are they do have a Cyber Week sale this week, ending tomorrow. And
Yes, thank you, Nathan. So yeah, Mina's Mediums is having a cyber sale on various things, and just check out my Instagram. You'll see it there. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to Instagram or DM me. You can also email me. With the Mina's Mediums email or with my work email, which is anafe.mina@guamcc.edu or agmina@gdoe.net. Again, feel free to ask me any questions. I'll get to it as soon as I can. And yeah, happy holidays.
happy holidays. Thank you, everybody. Um, Also, her planners are really nice.
Thank you, Nathan.